Yeah, Matt, you said you were getting the same monsoon we got at about the same time.
Yeah, mine was a lot worse.
I'm sure. Ours was kind of short.
Yeah. Hey, I heard you're getting some new employees.
Yeah.
Have they started yet?
Pat McConnell started Monday. Jim
Did he?
starts the 6th.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't change, what I'm doing at all right now. It helps Rob a ton because, instead of bringing in guys that you're trying to teach the buildings and everything else.
No, yeah, it's really good.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. How's the booth
Yep.
coming?
I was just getting ready to send you a picture. I have it in my hand right now. We just stood it up today.
Oh, did you?
I'll send you a couple pictures. They changed it though. We're only 16 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah, because the company would not let us use their lifts. No different than we wouldn't let somebody come on campus and say, "Hey, can I use your bucket truck for 2 days?" Nope. It's an insurance liability. So
Right.
in order to do that, that means we had to hire labor and everything else and hire 2 carpenters to put the last 4 panels on and hang the seal, and anything that was above that we couldn't do with ladders. They had to do. So I just completely changed the dynamics of it. And Rob said, it doesn't make sense for us to do it that way. And George says, no, fine. Cut out the top 4 feet. And then the other thing they said is that the graphics were out now, obviously. And I said, well, where's the red stripe go at the top of the 16-foot panel? He says, no, we'll count it out. So the stripe's out. The other panels are out. So we stood it all up today, and we're going to hang the seal tomorrow on the TV, and I'm sure George will do from frou-frou stuff. Like, I'm sure he's going to want to add light in the shadow boxes and stuff. But I just texted today, got a couple pictures.
So he's not doing the full graphic or anything anymore.
Yeah, the full graphic is on the back, but the size changed. It's 12 feet wide and 16 feet tall versus 12 feet wide and 20 feet tall.
Right. Well, that's good. You guys will have that up really quick.
Yeah, we did it. We stood it up about 2 hours yesterday at the tail end of the day. We started, I don't know, about 1 o'clock or something like that. By the time we got the big carts rolled up and in the turf room, that just takes time. Once we got them up there, stood them up, we stood about half of them up by about 2:30, and then stood up the last 4 or 5 panels this morning, and we were in great shape. So
I just got a text. Did you get that text from Adam?
No. I did. He's asking if we're recording.
So, yep. Is he coming in?
Well, it's 6 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started, and he can join in as soon as he gets here. On my screen, I've got the feedback from Wes. He's mainly talking about the functional specs that Adam and I worked on, and he wanted a minimum of requirements redone. So I went in there today, and I started working on them. Let me show you an example of them. So what's in this bluish color here is kind of how I rewrote it. You guys just take a look and let me know if you think it's more in line with how he expected it to read. Yeah.
So, John Novik's waiting for an invite. I don't know why he didn't get it.
All right, let me send him one.
I was going to say, because I try to add them, but I can't do that from the non-host side. Did we lose you, Brother Whitus?
No, I'm here. Can you see me?
Okay. I see your picture now. I don't see your live feed though.
Yeah, I'm going to the drive.
Okay, which is fine too. I just wanted to let me see. Yeah, John Novick saying I have nothing in my Gmail.
Hey,
what's up, Adam?
Not a lot.
Hey, Adam.
I'm gonna have to get the door in a couple minutes to get my dinner.
Oh.
Take a look at the functional requirements. I highlighted a couple of them in blue.
Hey, there's Johnny Mo.
A couple of them.
No.
All right. Well,
No,
then
I haven't looked at it. I'll be honest.
also he talks about our deliverables and not having due dates on there. So I don't know if we want to go back and try and assign due dates approximately to when we thought we needed to get it done.
Well, part of my thing was this. I mean, we all kind of respect each other's personal space and personal time. It's not like I'm going to say to Charles, "Hey, get this done by Monday so we can meet on Tuesday and we can make changes on Wednesday." I think we're all pretty sensitive of that, and if we know we have an assignment, we try to get it on early as possible because it affects everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what we should do though is say because pretty much we get all of our stuff done on Wednesday for us to go over, and then we would make amendments
Based on
updates
feedback.
based off of feedback. Then the next due date would be the Saturday or whatever for final approval.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
that's what we kind of need to utilize as our what we've been doing.
Okay.
Want to do
'Cause that's what
Wednesday
we
and
have been-
Saturday?
That's what we've been doing. First draft is on Wednesday.
Right.
Update from feedback would be due on Saturday for the group final approval for submission on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been doing.
It is.
Well,
It's
I
just
haven't
we
even
didn't.
Or
started this
Thursday.
week.
I'm sorry, it was Thursday because we were meeting Thursdays, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
So it would have been Thursday for a group meeting, and then you'd have your updates on
Saturday.
Saturday for group approval, and then submission on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. We could just add those 3 dates. Wednesday, or I'm sorry, Thursday, Saturday. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday kind of deal. Yeah, I mean, I can add them in the drive too, just as well. I can go in there and do it now.
Okay, do it.
I'm gonna go into the. Let me see.
Adam, I started
Deliverables.
working on a final presentation. I put it in the module 6 since that's
Okay.
what I'm targeting to deliver it. I don't have a background. I was going to try and something that we could use from a PowerPoint presentation from Olivet. Would you have anything that you could use to update it with?
You're talking to me? Yeah, whatever. I can find something. Sorry,
you guys-
it was cutting in and out.
You guys probably already use presentations now that have an Olivet's theme to it, right?
I mean, not really. I don't. We don't make presentations. I mean,
All right. Well, never mind.
it's not like a thing where it's like, if like we just did a $175,000 upgrade equipment upgrade thing. There was no presentation. It was sit down with the boss, say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. He said okay. Then he went and sat with his boss and said okay, and then that was it. There's no like. Am I wrong, Matt? Like Olivet doesn't do presentations.
Not so much like we're doing for this class.
Right.
Okay, then I'll find something. Don't worry about that.
Then why does Olivet make us do all these presentations?
Because in the
I don't
real
have a good
world,
answer, brother.
hey, because in the real world, which I'm in now, that's what happens.
It is.
What do you guys think of the consumption gap that Charles put in?
I honestly,
I haven't
I haven't
seen
looked
it
at
yet.
it.
Is it in week 5?
Should be. Now, here's something to keep in mind. When we all met last week, based on the document that I was reading from the previous cohort, they completely missed the boat. I'm not going to blame them for us having the wrong perception, but the consumption gap is something where the consumer is paying for something that they're not utilizing. And that can be due to the fact that either they don't know how to use it, it's too complex, they didn't know it was there, whatever the case may be, but they're paying for something and it's not.
So, Adam, it's kind of like what you had talked about a couple weeks ago, where you had said that Canvas has a bunch of other modules we're not even using.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what.
Like that would be what would be in our consumption gap. Of that should be in Charles's thing of those things you were referring to. Like it does have an integration with Blue Jeans or whatever, but we don't use it, and it's not even communicated.
Matt, that is
was
what's
just
in Charles's
I think that's what he's
document.
got there, though. He says Faculty are not.
I haven't looked at Charles.
Yeah, he says faculty are not utilizing features that students could be benefiting from. The modules listed below are some of the most underutilized features in Canvas: quizzes, conferences, collaborations, outcomes, commons, and calendar is what he lists, and then he describes each of them. But I thought that it was something more of like what it's not. I thought that those were items that were not in our requirements either. It's stuff that we weren't even looking for it to do. I'm completely off base on that, John?
No, correct. You are. When you looked at the week 5 module and it started talking about, what is a consumption gap? And I also went online to look for some definitions. It was not anything. It's not considered something that's missing from your specifications. It's just considered feature complexity that is underutilized because you don't even know it's there. You don't know how to use it, or it's too difficult to use, but it is there if you could figure it out. So I think he's got examples of what Canvas has to offer that either we didn't even know was there, or we know are there but not used enough.
Right.
Okay. So he just needs to expand on the document that he currently has.
Do you think that needs to happen then?
Yeah, I think so because all he has in the document is he lists out 6 things that are underutilized, and then he just explains what those 6 things are.
So what is it that we need to add to it then?
Well, I guess my question is, shouldn't it be an explanation of why, how they're being underutilized? Like in what ways?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just saying, why go through all the hassle of talking about stuff that's underutilized and then not say why, and then not talk about what benefit it would bring to you or not?
I would agree. And the way Wes is, the more information, the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why we've been getting B's essentially on our stuff, is because we haven't been putting in the extra stuff.
I think that's under module 5, right?
Yeah, all the dates I'm putting in right now is all under module 5. Yeah, I'm not listening to you guys, but I'm putting dates in at the same time.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're doing. Aren't you supposed to be taking notes for this meeting, Troy?
I am. Hey, see that? There's my notes so far. So I'm multitasking and listening.
Troy's the man. And you can take notes next week too, Troy.
Yeah.
Should that explain why if it's a feature that we're not utilizing it too? You know what I'm saying?
Say that again.
Should it also say, we know it's a feature that we don't normally use, but it doesn't have to say the why of aren't we using it, and
Yeah,
what
why-
benefit would it have to the university if we did use it, or no?
I mean, I would think so. In a report, it's one thing to point out all the things you're not using, but then it's like, if you're not going to go ahead and explain what, like, why does that matter? I guess that would be my question for it.
And if I was sitting in that meeting, I would be like, and I was in charge of trying to finance this project, I'd be like, why are we paying for something we're not using? If we're not going to use it, why are we paying for it? And if it's no added, if it is added value, we should be utilizing it. Let's figure out a way to utilize it.
Okay. So it looks like the last one regarding calendars maybe has more of what you guys are talking about. But
Adam's
the other
dinner's
ones,
ready.
Yeah.
what's that?
Adam's dinner's ready.
Pizza being delivered.
Something. He'll be eating in front of us here in a minute.
Sorry about that. So what does Charles need to do to complete this document then? Or did you guys already solve that?
No, we didn't talk about anything.
Oh, okay.
Where's everybody else?
I don't know. The secretary, which is me, don't have anything for Charles on whatever changes we needed to modify to that.
I was reading.
Oh, okay.
I was reading through his thing. I think he outlines 6 things that are being underutilized in the current LMS, and then explains what those things are. I think he just needs to expand upon, like, one of them here. He says collaborations is literally one sentence. Collaborations are becoming more
Right.
common by applying this technology, and learning assignments is foreign to many. But yeah, so I think he needs to explain what a benefit that would be. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
The
Why it needs to be utilized more.
Yeah.
Easy use the 5 whys.
Yeah. And I would say it's probably true on all of these. And then that would at least get him someplace where he's got more meat to this document.
So he wants to expound on it and give a justification and why it would improve the collective system, correct?
Yeah, why would it what benefit would Olivet see from utilizing these features in the learning management system?
And what are we missing out on by not utilizing those?
Right.
Apparently they put them there for a reason. Normally they're not
Right.
one-offs. Normally they're not one-offs that they're putting into a whole system. Normally they've been requested by multiples, and that's why they're there.
This makes sense. Like, look what we're doing. We're going to an outside software to do this, where if it was all part of the same class, same module, we could do it all within Canvas. We could post our video right there, and we don't, it's just making it so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's all in one source. Now I think it
Right.
does do some of that. Like I was looking at it last night. There are things that, like, we could be doing the same kind of Google collaboration thing through Canvas. We just don't do it that way because that's not how we know how to do it.
And because that's not what they're teaching us to. If you remember,
Correct.
our first class, they told us to use this.
Right.
Because they told us this is what to use.
Right. Okay.
Troy, did you get that stuff from Spittle?
I did, got it, put it in my document. It was very helpful, actually. Put it in my my paper. You guys are welcome to look at that paper. It's just short. I actually had to work kind of hard to get it all in one page. But you're welcome to look at that while I'm uploading dates here.
Oh, there we go.
I say it's
I think he's
short,
freezing.
succinct.
Yeah, and I haven't even started on mine. All mine is just a report of everything that we've done so far.
You're what?
The paper that I'm supposed to write this week.
I can't remember.
Here, hold on.
I didn't see anything on the deliverables for this week. So I didn't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Week 5 project submission.
Troy was doing the
Urgency.
right, the urgency. Charles was doing the consumption gap, and I thought that was it.
No, there's a third one. Reflect on the deliverables to date and determine if any adjustments are required. Submit a summary of the required changes, not necessarily the entire documents.
So that's what we're discussing right now, is what do we need to
Okay.
change.
Okay, so I need to be writing some of this stuff up.
So obviously the,
And
the
what are-
consumption gap, revisions to the functional specifications.
Who's doing the revisions to the specifications?
I already did 5 of them, which he said meets the minimum requirement.
I can add some more in there, John.
Okay.
I wouldn't go too crazy because he was saying 5 or 6 is.
No, I know. I'm not going to add much more. I mean, but just a few more so it doesn't look like we're just doing the minimum.
Yeah. 'Cause if I'm remembering that conversation, if I'm remembering right, he said that that's more that the learning management system company is going to provide back to you.
Right.
So-
Right. Well, that's what I was confused about that when he was like, well, you guys didn't have very many that were fleshed out. The first, 30, I rewrote everything.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't detailed enough. I don't know.
Hey, Troy, on your dates.
I'm fixing them right now.
Okay.
Let's see here. At one point, I changed the use case scenario to be on separate pages.
How much of these do we want to include for the final presentation? Because at
How
the
much?
moment, I've just got placeholders for each deliverable. We're
Yeah,
set-
so I was thinking for the final presentation, maybe the way we should break it apart was instead of just going down each different segment of requirements and then talking about specifications and talking about our test scenario and then talking about this, I didn't know if maybe you guys wanted to break it down into using the use case diagram and breaking it down into individual parts and just talking about talking about notifications and then saying these are the requirements we gave for notifications, these are the specifications we gave for notifications, and this is how we decided we were going to test this stuff.
Yeah, but I
So just focus in one area.
No, I think we need to give kind of an overall of this is what we want the plan to do, but don't get into very specific detail because if you remember what he was talking about, that's what the appendixes are for, and then it would be sent off to the specific groups. So
Yes.
you know what I mean? The IT people would take off and go to the back end stuff and figure out,
Okay,
okay, how
yeah,
does this
yeah, yeah.
integrate? And then, the academic people would say, okay, how would this really get into our stuff? It's just a matter of our presentation. I'm trying to think of, okay, if I'm Doug and I'm Ryan Spittle and I'm those guys and I'm paying for this, do I really want to get in the nuts and bolts? No, I want to be at about 30,000 feet to figure out, okay, what is this system going to do for me? What are the advantages of it? How is it going to enhance academics? All of that stuff. And then that's when you'd break out and say, okay, now, whoever's over in the graduate school, whoever like Jonathan Pickering on the academic side, okay, now you guys figure out, does it really do what you want to do? And I think that's what Wes will get into, asking us specific questions.
Okay.
But I just don't know how. I don't know. Maybe that's something that we could reach out to Wes and ask him. In our presentation, how detailed does he want us to get in the presentation? Do you just want to do a kind of an overview on the presentation, and then in the Q&A session, that's where we get into the weeds?
Yes.
What are you laughing for?
That's gonna be what you're like in a meeting. Those guys are not gonna. The guys who are making those decisions are not gonna want to hear the nuts and bolts of everything.
They're not going to
No,
want to
they-
sit there for. They're not going to want to sit there for 60 or 90 minutes and figure out, okay, now what exactly does this notify me with? They're going to want to know the top 3 or 5 notifications on what it's going to do. It's going to notify the student of any content change. It'll integrate in. It'll integrate with our emergency notification system. And all of those types of things, just like in the content collaboration. What are the 3 to 5 top things that we can talk about, but don't go into the 15 or 20 other things.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Well, the other
But
thing is you're going to have.
But we need to know those other 15 to 20 things because that's what Wes is going to quiz us on.
Yes.
It's just how do we marry those together?
Well, that's why I was asking, because his format that he has right now is based. Where is it? Somewhere here.
There's a YouTube video that I put into the end of the presentation, and it just summarizes and briefly touches on all of it. So
Okay.
it's the perfect marketing piece to help sell and showcase what it is that they have to offer.
Right. I guess, Matt, so then the reality is the way the presentation he has set up right now is not at all what you just said, though, because he said he's going through, he's showing this is the use case diagram, these are the functional requirements, this is the request for proposal, this is the decision matrix, this is the functional specification, test plan, requirement trace matrix, consumption gap, urgency.
Well, and I think that's fine, but I think when you're talking about each one of them, I don't think you need to go into specific detail, because then that's what the project binder is. That's going to have all of the
Right.
detail in it.
But that's
But
why
I
was
do
saying,
think we need to talk about each section, but I think you're going to spend 3 to 5 minutes on each section, not 30 minutes on each
yes,
section.
but that's why I was saying, shouldn't the presentation be set up based on our categories of stuff and not necessarily based on the different documents we're submitting?
I would
Yes.
agree. Yeah, I would think if I'm just going back to, if we're doing it to Olivet, they're not going to want to see our RFP. They're
Right.
going to want to know. They're going to want to know that we're sending one out to get proposals, or that we did. But it's because everything we're going to talk about in the RFP, we're going to be talking about in the requirements. We're going to be talking about in the specifications. We're going to be talking about in the test plan. You're going to be regurgitating kind of the same information.
Matt, let me hold on just a second. Let me say something. With
Sure.
respect to the RFP, the important pieces of information that we probably should extract from there and include in our presentation are only about the dates.
Right.
Because
the schedule.
Yeah, you want to just share the schedule, the timeline.
Which is the same thing I put in my sense of urgency, because that's the only thing that's of critical nature for us.
You got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why, yeah. So I would think, kind of going with Adam says, I think you'd have a thing about schedule, not a thing about the RFP.
Yeah, but
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
like you would talk about, or you would talk about the features of the product.
Yeah, I would agree
wouldn't
with
go
that.
into you wouldn't go into the nitty-gritty details. You wouldn't say these are all our functional specifications. You would say the product allows for collaboration between faculty members and students. It utilizes Google Docs to allow students to simultaneously edit documents and provide a more fluid learning environment via an online platform.
Right.
I mean, that's literally what you would say, and then your bullet points would be, the logos of Google Docs and like that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base, but that's what I'm.
Well, I think we kind of maybe we need, and I can reach out to Wes and ask him. But is this presentation more of a sales pitch? More of a sales pitch to get it financed, kind of like we did in the last class?
Right.
Or is it more of a informational of, we did this whole process, involved all these stakeholders, and this is what we came back with, and this is what our proposal is to, this is what we're saying we need to go after, and this is why.
Well, the other thing is,
I guess it's the same thing.
Well, one thing to think about is on some of those meetings, Matt, I like the term you used earlier about tell them how it's going to work based on 30,000 feet. You're going to have one or two people in that meeting that are only interested in, okay, I understand, I want it to work, but at the same token, if this is going to cost me $250,000, if that makes sense and we can afford that, it's a good investment. If he does, then he's going to mentally check himself out of the rest of that meeting because it makes sense to him. The university needs it. It's something affordable. He doesn't need to hear the rest of the other information.
All right, guys, let's stay on task. We're getting really off track here because we're talking about things that are specific to something else. Matt, what I heard you say is it like this or is it like that? And then the last thing you said is, I think they're
kind of the same thing. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, where are we going with this?
Well, I think we're putting together a proposal to me, what I understand of this class is what we're trying to do is, we were given a task to find the LMS system that's going to work best for us. So we put together this whole thing. Now we're coming back and reporting to the stakeholder group. This is what our recommendation, and this is why.
Yes.
This is what we heard from you. This is what because in essence, what started this whole thing is meeting with the stakeholders. Okay, what do you want? What'll better service the students? what'll make you better to teach, what's the students better to learn. This is what we heard, so that's kind of what we came with our requirements. And then we said, okay, this is what this system does. It meets 85% of it. And this is what it does.
Okay, so we're just bringing it up to the point of pretty much the decision matrix. And then we're stopping?
No, I don't think we're stopping. See, I don't know. I'm
Hey,
just
guys.
trying to think if go ahead.
I'm looking
John.
I'm looking at the week 7 module overview.
It doesn't say anything.
Yes, it does. It says
Oh.
present the key elements of an enterprise software implementation effort.
It should be everything that we've done up to this point.
That's
In the
what I'm
overview.
thinking.
I was looking at the final presentation, like assignment itself. It says nothing.
No, but in the overview and the objectives, it literally says present the key elements of the software implementation effort, which would be the way it's set up right there.
Because there's two parts to that last. So we have the paper, which is the binder, which is all the information, and then the presentation. But like you said, Adam, it doesn't give us anything about what
What he
it
wants.
doesn't give us any details on what the expectations are for the presentation.
Yeah, and
We know what it is. For
rubric.
yeah.
I downloaded the rubric, and it just basically
Yeah.
the slides, the visual aids are not complicated. To complement and do not distract, and the presentation reflects work of the entire group and demonstrates this through seamless transitions from presenter to presenter. But that's also why I'm saying that's why I think if we separate it, we need to separate however we decide, whether it's through we're doing the functional requirements, the request for proposal, and going through that. We just need to be able to seamlessly transition between each step.
I agree. But like he said when we were talking to him the other day, you don't want a presentation that's just the list of the requirements.
Right. Well, and that's why I thought if you start out the presentation with the sense of urgency, this is why we need to move to this. These are the types of things we need to do. And then we move through this. These were the items that we thought that were integral to what we needed to do. This is what Canvas does. And then list through that stuff rather than each person trying to go, this is the requirements and I'm going to do the specifications and you're going to do the thing. Then it kind of looks like everybody in the group has had input on all the steps along the way.
So sense of urgency, then logic would be the next step, right?
I
The
think
sense
so.
of urgency, the logic behind why we created that sense of urgency, the benefits of Canvas, or the actual functionality of Canvas, and then what would end it though? What would be the
Our recommendation. This is what we suggest.
Well, that's what the Canvas one is. One thing I think we need to add in there, and I think it ties in with the decision matrix, and we haven't done anything on this, and I can see if we can put something together in there is, we had the decision matrix where we were comparing and contrasting the three different, what was it, Canvas, Moodle, and
Blackboard.
I mean, I think we need to discuss that in the presentation to show what our homework was and what we did and what, and that leads on to, okay, this is who we compared and contrasted. Here's what sets them apart. You can talk about the scoring and how we scored them. And one thing we haven't talked about is budget. We haven't talked about what the different costs are.
Hey, Matt, can you add that? You're talking about those three systems. Can we just add that to the logic and say the logic of the three systems and why we chose what we chose?
Well, then I think you talk about that. That's the next step. And then you go into the next step, which is, okay, this is why we settled on Canvas. Because that section will say, okay, this is, the decision matrix says why we picked Canvas, but then you go into the logic section of, okay, now this is why we picked it, because this is what sets Canvas apart from all the other ones. And then you're kind of into the requirements, you're into the specifications, you're into all that other stuff. And then in that same section, you can talk about the RFP and just in general talk about the RFP process.
Should we consider doing a follow-up meeting later this week where we basically do a dry run, a rehearsal? We can record ourselves going through it, go back and watch it if we want. That way it'll be in preparation for next week.
Because we're doing it on Thursday, right?
A week from this Thursday.
A week from this Thursday.
Right.
Yeah. And yes.
Or if you give us the end of this week to put together those sections.
Yeah. Let's get our sections put together this week, and then maybe on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday we do a dry run.
Okay.
That'll give us a couple days. That'll give us a couple days to work out any kinks that we had. It'll get our timing to where we. How long do you guys want to make it? Because
I would
if we
shoot
all-
for no more than a half an hour.
I was going to say, if I was sitting
Well,
in a
how long did
stakeholder
he
meeting,
say-
I'm probably
How
limited
long
about
did
20
it say you're
minutes.
supposed to do?
it didn't say.
30 to 90, I think is what it said.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think we're going to have a lot of conversation after the presentation.
I think so too.
So 5 minutes apiece, right?
And
Yep.
I think that's where once the presentation's over, that's where it's like if it was me and I was doing this, you'd have a bunch of people around a table and I would say, okay, this is what a recommendation is. We're going to open up question and answers for those of you who don't want to stay can leave. And that's where you're going to get the IT guys, the academic people that really start drilling down into it. But the 30,000 feet people are going to leave.
Yes.
And that's
So-
where you hand out the sections. You can go over the binder. You can open it up and you can say, okay, this you wanted to do this. Okay, yeah, we tested that and this is how it responded.
So should we get the gist of the presentation down, like the sections down right now? So do we want to do the sense of urgency first? Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah, that's how we should
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, I think that's how we should start because then that sets you in a place of
Right.
why we need to move to this.
Okay, and then the case for change, would that be second, something like that?
Yes, that's
Well,
fine.
that's kind of this. Is that I don't know. The thing about the case, the sense of urgency, though, is we need to not talk about. We need to talk about why we need to make the change, not talk about what's going to make the change. Because that
Correct. We
would
need
be
to-
later on. It would be like this is what we need. This is why we need this. But don't say Canvas does this. We need to use Canvas.
No, I
But
don't
I
think
don't
You know what I
will.
mean?
His document doesn't do the document
I
he's
haven't
got right
seen his
now.
document. I haven't seen
No,
his
all
document.
mine basically says is, how much increase there is in online education and how everything's gone up and the sense of urgency and why I think it would benefit all of that.
Yeah, so that would be the first section.
Right. And I can obviously do that because I wrote it, but there's the urgency. That's our first section. I'm kind of trying to make notes here too, so I can, good luck putting all this in meeting minutes.
So we should,
Right.
let's
Urgency.
split it out into maybe either 6 sections or split a couple of sections into halves. So we all
Right.
have something to talk about
Right.
throughout the presentation here.
I do like what I think John Evans was saying, or Adam, whoever said that, of instead of being so segmented where it's like, okay, section 1 is Troy, section 2 is Adam, section 3 is John, section 4 is Matt, section 5, you know what I mean? Where if you kind of
Yeah.
not played off of each other, but because then it wouldn't make it like somebody said that, okay, Troy did the urgency, so Troy's going to talk about the urgency.
Oh, I got
Whereas if you had 1 or 2 people talking about the urgency that kind of played on each other, kind of went
It's more
back
of a
and forth.
collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of built off of that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I was talking about. That's why I was talking about breaking it down into what Canvas does, and then talking about like. And I know you guys don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I'm like,
No,
for
I think we need to do that,
30-minute
but
conversation. It's like,
no, it does. We do need to get into that, but like I said, only talk about the top 5 things that it's going to do that's going to really hit home to them. Yeah, but I think once we get into the Canvas section, I think you do break it down. You bring in, you talk, whatever the use case is. You say this is what we wanted to do. This is what Canvas does. It does notifications. It does collaboration with integration with whether it's Google or Blue Jeans or whatever it may be. I think you do break it down as we get down farther.
Okay.
Because that's what you're talking about, right?
yeah, I'm saying you utilizing the sections that we've basically taken all of our documents based off of the original use case diagram from week 1 and said we're gonna talk about user management on a system. We're talking about what all the different things, and those are all the different pages that I had broken apart.
Right.
And I'm not saying we need to talk about what the notifications does, but we need to talk about why we chose that as an integral part of making a decision to purchase this type of software versus a different type.
When I think you get into that, when you start talking about specifically Canvas, I don't know. Yeah, that section. But I think the stuff that John Evans had in the thing, I think you put all that stuff together in 1 or 2 slides as bullets, as this is the process we followed to make our decision. Where you don't have to list out all the requirements. You don't have to list out all the specifications, but you can say this is the process we followed to make our decision. You know, we created a use case diagram. We did a decision matrix. You know, all those things we did, which are the sections of which would be the appendices at the end, right?
Yes.
Of our our binder.
Of our binder. But I'm saying the point of the presentation would be just basically going through and saying these were the original ideas of what we were looking for in a piece of software that led us to these 3 manufacturers, essentially. You know, that's not what it is. And then those 3 played off of each other in these ways. And then the final thing would be our recommendation is Canvas, and for these reasons.
Exactly. I think that's the kind of what we just said. Though I don't think we wrote it down, but that should be the outline of our presentation.
Troy, did you write that down?
Well, I have urgency. Then I have comparison.
No, I think we go into process.
Yeah, I think you got to go. Into, so it's urgency, then it's the This is the how we came to what
Our
we
method.
did.
This is our method.
Yes, and then we talk about how that, and then we talk about the comparison and the decision matrix of what that is, and then the result of the decision matrix is Canvas, and it's this.
And then the rationale for why it's Canvas, which is what you talked about, Adam. All these different things that it does.
Right, which then loops us back to urgency, which is how you would want to do that, because then you would say, it should point us back to, it will set us up to be able to do this platform. This platform allows us to, you know, be online completely 100% and yada, yada, yada.
Right, so this is what I have just in bullet notes. Urgency, methodology, or why we chose what we did, comparison, decision matrix, rationale.
Not why we chose it, how we chose it.
But I'm saying our methodology of how we went about making a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And then you go into the why of why we made the decision of Canvas.
Yeah, at the end.
At the end.
Yes.
Because the methodology would be all the stuff that we've been doing.
Say them all again, Troy.
I will. 1 is urgency. 2 is methodology or decision process. 3 is comparison. 4th is decision matrix. 5th is rationale. 6th is Canvas choice.
Rock on.
Very good. That gives us very legitimate bullet points.
Well,
I can add those in our notes. Yeah.
My only question is, are the last 2 the same, the rationale and the Canvas choice?
The rationale. Well, isn't the rationale going through and explaining? Well, I think we need to talk about. Is that the one talking about the decision matrix? We need to talk about the shortcomings.
Well, he had comparison, then he had rationale, then he had.
I'll write them again. Urgency, methodology or decision, comparison, the decision matrix, rationale, Canvas choice.
I think we got some redundancy in there, but we can tweak that down.
Well, do you want to just eliminate the rationale and just say, hey, decision matrix led us to the Canvas?
Yeah, but
we have to talk about the process. That's the whole class. What we've been doing is the process.
Yeah.
Right. I heard you guys say sense of urgency, method.
Method was the process, Matt.
Method is the process.
Well, I thought he said just get rid of the method.
No. I said get rid of the rationale. We'll just talk about the Canvas choice. Are you writing these down? You're making slides, aren't you, John?
Yeah, I'm in here making slides as you guys are talking.
Okay. One is
because we're going back and forth.
I know. 1 is urgency.
Urgency.
2 is methodology / decision.
That's fine. Leave it as method. That's fine.
Just leave it as method. Don't put decision, because then you're going to go into comparison.
Then you go and then into comparison.
Next is comparison,
which would be your decision matrix. Which would be your decision matrix, right? No,
Yep.
that is comparison, right?
Comparison is your decision matrix, correct?
Right. That's
And,
what I'm
and,
saying.
and that's where we would need to talk about some of the shortcomings of the other players.
Exactly.
Well, I have comparison as one bullet point and decision matrix as another. You're saying they're the same thing?
That's the same thing.
That's the same thing.
Decision
I'm just
matrix
putting
is
a note in
comparing
there
the three.
for myself.
Yeah, you can put that under comparison. Yes.
That's fine. And then the rationale, you said the rationale of our final choice, I think it needs to be we need to talk about what canvas. So we've talked about why we chose Canvas because it was better than these, but then we need to talk about what it does in relation to back to our urgency.
Do we want to talk about the features then? Why the features that they have?
This is the section, Adam, you were talking about where we go into as to, and in essence, the sell canvas of this is why we picked it.
Right.
It does all of this stuff.
Right. The original goals that we were looking at trying to solve.
Exactly.
So under rationale, put selling features.
Yes. This is just bullets that we can build off of.
Yes.
Right. I would assume we're talking about several different pages here.
Yes.
I think each of these could be more than one page.
Each of these
definitely
is several pages.
Right.
So everything from slide 6 and on, which is pretty much a slide designated for each of our deliverables. Should I just nix those right now?
I wouldn't nix anything. I'd leave it in there for now, and then we can always later on.
We can move it later.
You guys feel that this 90 seconds blurb where it kind of showcases Canvas, is that something that we're going to want to put into our presentation?
I don't know that he wants to watch a video, or if it, oh, you know what though? If we're presenting this to somebody, they're going to see what the features are. I think that's important.
I encourage you, just take the 90 seconds and watch it.
Yeah, no, I would leave it in there because we may put it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That could be in the selling features section too.
It could. That's our bullet point number 4. If you're taking notes.
Well, that's all underneath that. Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're taking notes.
See, I gotta have footnotes. I want more than 2 sentences on that deliverables. Otherwise, he's going to be nixing us. They'd be dinging us.
Okay. What else do we got to cover here? I know I got to go through and write the document of the things that need to be changed. I guess a couple of things that we do need to talk about the documents, because we're not going to turn the paper in next week, correct? We're turning the paper in the following week.
What does
Well,
it
I think
matter?
you got to. I don't know. Does he have to have them at the same time so we can see what our paper is as he's doing our presentation?
That's, if I was Wes, I'd want both.
I would too.
I would think so as well.
But the paper's not going to be a big deal. It's just in essence taking everything we have, putting it into putting in yeah, it is, because we got to put it in a format.
It's a big deal. I mean, it's still a fairly big deal. I think there's several things we need to go back through and make sure we're making all the adjustments he told us to make on each individual document.
Which I think we've done well at so far, really.
Now, do you guys interpret the project binder and the final paper to be one and the same?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so I will start to put that together. I believe that most of the sections we've got, like Troy, I think that it was you that said that we've been updating everything as we've been going.
We have. I think we've been very good at that.
What's that?
I think we have been very good at that. If he, sends back feedback, we all try to go into the documents that we created and update those, or go into someone else's documents and update. I think we've been good at that.
Right.
Okay, so I'll start putting all of that together. I'll also start taking a crack at each of these slides. Obviously,
I'll start taking
Google.
some points
So
too.
guys, we're going to be able to work on it together.
Right. I think what we need to do is we need to kind of break off into groups. And right now we've got three main things, right? How many we have?
Urgency,
You have urgency.
method, comparison, and decision matrix. Fourth would be your
Rationale.
features.
Right. That's rationale. That's all we got, right?
You
Right
want
now?
features?
No. Let's keep it simple right now. We have 4 sections, correct?
I have 5. Urgency, methodology. Third is comparison and decision matrix. Fourth is the features. The 5th is Canvas choice.
That's not what we have. Is that on the slides? Is it, John?
No, he's fixing it right now.
It is now.
I guess my question is the feature.
We don't.
If we don't, why,
Features and
isn't that part
decision
of the
choice is the same.
comparison?
Yes, I think what we have is good. I think we have urgency. I think we have, what was the next one?
Method.
Method. Then we have comparison decision matrix, which is one
Yep.
and the same. And then
Yep.
rationale, which is going to include, like what you're saying, Troy. It's going to include the features. It's going to include all that stuff.
Okay.
I think what we need to do over the next few days is let's just each of us pick one of those 4 and just start putting bullets in there of, okay, this is, and just vomit in there and say, okay, this is stuff that would be included in there.
And we can take them out easy later.
Yeah, but just start putting stuff in it. We can all do it. Let's just say
Right.
between
Okay.
now and Friday or the weekend, or between now and Thursday or Friday, let's just start adding bullets in underneath each of the things that we think should be included in that, and then we can get back together and say, no, we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this, but yes, let's do this, this, and this, and then we can start putting the presentation together.
What do you guys think of the first one? I put something up there
That looks fine.
as far as a background.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
fine.
All right.
I think we should really limit how many slides we have, because if you do in too many, I think if we're only going to do 30 minutes, we should not have any more than 10 to 13 slides.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I was thinking you'd probably have 3 slides a section or 2. Urgency is probably going to be 2. Method is going to be 3 or 4. Comparison is probably going to be 3, and then the last one's 1 or 2. I don't know.
And it's just going to be bullets, and we're just going to be talking.
You can put
About each
instructor's
section.
notes at the bottoms of these
Oh,
things.
yes.
Now, I guess that's the other question too: is how do we do this? So we need a practice run next week, probably this time again next week Tuesday, just so we can figure out
Yeah.
the mechanics of
Yes.
how is the PowerPoint going to be up the whole time, but then but who's doing the presentation, that kind of stuff.
Just be
Yeah.
prepared too that it could be a little longer on Tuesday of next week, because we have to get all that hashed out before Thursday.
And just so you know,
Yeah.
whoever,
I would like to also meet. I know we don't want to do another hour-long thing again this week, but I think we at least, or we need to do in pairs, like Matt said, and break off in groups. Like we at least need to get in a place where everything in the presentation, content-wise, is done by Tuesday,
Yes.
so that all we're doing is going through. This is how we're doing it.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. That's why I was saying, we have sections. If we just broke it off and you
Yep.
did each section, a couple people did each section, then,
Yeah.
you could put it together and we could even create it. And then one person can go in and format it and make it all look the same.
yep.
Yeah. So can we do that? I'd be willing to work on the method stuff. I guess
I'll
say
do that. I'll do that with you.
I'll
Okay.
do the comparison stuff.
Okay.
Troy, you're doing the urgency stuff.
Yep. I got that. I'll take care of the notes and bullets and stuff like that. We need to put those
I'll take
specs in
whatever's
there.
left over.
And John, if you just want to do the rationale, which in essence is just going to be the sections of our requirements, correct?
Okay, that sounds.
Is that right? Is it,
I thought that was more the rationale was more of the
Selling features.
the selling. Yeah, this is the Canvas. Canvas is going to be able to do this. That's the other thing too, Troy. I think you need to work with John so that whatever you talk about in the urgency of
Yep.
of the goals of why we need to do this, John needs to be able to hit back on, come back to, and say,
Yes.
this is what Canvas helps us solve this problem, this problem, this problem. So
Okay,
we're going
so
to talk
John and
about what
Troy
the
will-
problem is. We're going to talk
Yep.
about how we've decided to tackle the problem. We're going to talk about, and then John's going to literally talk about the solutions to the problem, essentially.
Right. So John and Troy are doing rationale and urgency. Adam and Matt are doing, what is it, specifications?
The method.
method?
Method. Okay.
Hey, John, one thing that I think should be included in yours in the comparison is not only your decision matrix you did, but also a section from the RFP about the cost.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
we have none of. That's the other thing in all of our documents so far, except for the original the original requirements documents, we have none of the non-functional requirements outlined outside of what John initially posted in week 3.
Right. Hey, so I've got Adam and Matt working on method, Troy and John Novick working on rationale and urgency. I got John Evans, and I just put Charles in there too. You're going to work on the what?
They're on he's on rationale.
John
No. John Evans.
John Evans and
Is
Troy
rationale.
are going to work on rationale and urgency. John Novick
Okay.
is working on comparison.
Comparison.
And I think Charles should help him with that because I think the document that Charles is writing this week speaks into that because he's going through and talking about the comparison gap and the things that are missing.
That's fine.
Okay, perfect. That works for me. So we've got 3 teams of, 1 item each, and that's great.
Hey, fellas, I'm gonna leave my computer going. You guys just shoot me a text when you want me to stop it. But I got.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay. And the plan is to be done Friday, and then if we can get together either Friday night, Saturday, or whatever, or it doesn't even have to be to get together. It could just be as simple as, has everybody reviewed the document, and then are we okay with this? I'm not saying we got to do a video conference call. It could be something as simple as we're texting.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
Sounds good.
Hey, Adam,
All right,
before you
guys.
get off,
Yeah.
by the end of tomorrow, I'll put in a bunch of bullets that I think we should, both of us, go into that section on that slide and
Okay.
just add what we think we can include in there, and then we can go from there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. See you guys.
All right,
Sounds good,
See ya.
guys. Good night.
Bye.